Okay, imagine this. A honeybee is out here doing her thing in an orchard, lands on a mystery apple blossom, then carries that pollen over to a Honeycrisp tree. Fast forward a few months, and no exaggeration, something amazing is born. The sugar bee apple. Packed with notes of honey, caramel, and molasses, plus an extra crisp crunch, sugar bee apples are perfect for snacking, baking, and everything in between. Download our new free recipe book and find a store near you at hellosugarbee.com. Sugar bee apples, naturally sweet, from bee to you.
Hi, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. Are you looking for a beach read this summer? May I suggest your big wireless bill? It's got suspense, mystery, a slightly flat, emotional arc, and a shocking twist where you realize you've been overpaying the entire time. Fortunately, though, Mint's story is better. Every plan, $15 a month. Even unlimited. That's it. Happy ending. Zero tears. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
To get the Crime Writers on Aftershow right now, go to patreon.com/partners in crime media.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, police had 2 suspects in a young woman's murder. Did their interpretation of the DNA lead them to arrest the wrong man? We'll revisit our review of the classic true crime podcast, Suspect, Season 1. Joining me to get that done and more is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and the love of my life. It's Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
So, Kevin?
Yeah.
What are we going to hear in today's CWO Classic Rewind?
Okay, we're going to go back to our September 27th, 2021 review of the podcast from Campside Media and Wondery. It's Season 1 of Suspect with host Matthew Shaer.
Kevin.
Yes.
You know something about me in this podcast.
I do. Why don't we wait for it? We can talk to it on the other side, all right?
All right. So let's take a listen.
While DNA is treated in popular culture like a truth meter, a guilt meter, in reality, DNA evidence has to be interpreted by human beings. Human beings who have biases, prejudices, human beings who make mistakes.
In 2008, the body of software engineer Arpana Janaga was discovered after a rowdy Halloween party in her apartment building. She had been strangled and then doused in bleach, motor oil, and toilet bowl cleaner to destroy DNA evidence. Among the suspects was a convicted sex offender with outstanding warrants and a neighbor who was turned away from the Canadian border hours after the killing.
I'm telling you everything.
You're not.
I'm telling you.
Because the way you're telling us is telling me that you're holding stuff back. Did you kick in her door?
No, I didn't kick.
Faced with a whodunit and forensic evidence that couldn't be analyzed by conventional means, authorities ran trace DNA through a software program. Though unable to clear one suspect, police arrested another on the basis of debatable science.
This DNA match on the robe fundamentally altered the course of the case. It undercut the conclusion the investigators might be tempted to reach from the DNA on the motor oil bottle. And it changed everything.
In Suspect from Campside Media and Wondery, host Matthew Shaer looks at the investigation into Janaga's death. The podcast series slowly peels back the layers of a case with dubious assumptions, racial bias, and junk science, which likely put the wrong man behind bars. Now, we are going to be talking about plot points for the first 5 episodes for Suspect. So to remain spoiler-free, go to the estimated time code in our show notes to hear our thumbs up or thumbs down reviews. So we should note that all of the episodes for Suspect are available on Wondery Plus and on Amazon Music if you have a subscription.
Which I didn't find out until later, damn it!
But the first 5 episodes are available on all of the apps. Now, we should just, I think Kevin just tipped our hats. This is a podcast that perhaps you may want to maybe get the episodes for. So, Kevin, we have reviewed a couple of podcasts from Campside. And, of course, we've reviewed a plethora of podcasts from Wondery.
If you told me these two...
Wait, let me just say.
All right.
We have liked, for the most part, their podcast from Campside, but our one criticism has been they have been a little too much on the sound design side.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, from Wondery, most of our criticism has been like, they're way too much on everything. So here we are, a collaboration between Campside and Wondery. Although I'm guessing Wondery is just a distribution partner.
Right, but if you told me like there was going to be a podcast with both their names on it, I would have thought it would have been 9 hours of theme songs and sound effects.
Yes.
And it's not. It's very restrained, and I think that's because, at least I hope it's because, there's a really good story here, and when you have that, you don't need a bunch of party tricks to fool the easily impressed. You just get to tell the story.
I actually think it's because whoever was working on this was just really good at it. I mean, I actually believe that Wondery was the distribution partner. I'm not like behind the scenes in this at all. I just think that the people working on this thing were the right people. And
That's all that matters.
I'm just going to stick with that. I mean, Toby, there is a narrative structure here that I was so impressed by, and I don't think we've heard something like it recently, which is that in the first couple of episodes, we follow the crime and the person who probably did it and probably should be in jail for it, as if that's kind of what happened. And we're like all in on that, right? And then we find out that's not what happened. I am just like incredibly impressed by the way that they structured this. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this podcast. We haven't talked about it a lot before taping the show because that's how we do this. I have just been assuming, and maybe I'm wrong, that you might be as impressed with the narrative structure of this as I am.
Yeah, well, I think, last week when we were talking about Firebug and we were talking about how it wasn't structured well and it sounded a little bit like an article and they didn't have the right focus and they left stuff to the end that should, but I feel like this one does it all just about perfectly. The way it's organized and the way it draws you in and the way you learn things is just about as good as I can imagine you doing it with this story. And I don't know if it's the exact first thing, but the bulk of the beginning of it is about this Halloween party that takes place at this apartment complex, which I kept thinking of as Melrose Place, but I'm sure it's not. And
it's down market Melrose Place, the way they describe it. Yes.
They do this interesting thing where that in setting up this party and then talking about the party, you get to have a pretty good sense of a number of people who become players in this and what their relationships are. And you get to hear a lot of their voices. And you get to hear like the way that this woman, Arpana, who's the victim, her enthusiasm for the party, and you get a little bit of the background. And then the party itself, the description, the way they talk about it was so reminiscent of things I've been to, where there's a party and there's like one guy who's like being sort of hyper aggressive and freaking people out.
A dick.
Everybody
yes.
wants him to get out of there. And
that's you, Toby.
Everything's kind of fun until about 1 o'clock in the morning. And then everybody's just like so wasted that it gets a little dark.
Parties have emotional lives of their own. Sounds weird to say that out loud, but I'm also guessing you kind of know what I mean. There are parties that are full of warmth, of happiness, parties where it feels like everyone is on the same wavelength. And then there are parties that have a bad mood to them, where you can feel something, anger, jealousy, barely concealed violence under the surface. That Halloween party in 2008, the Valley View Apartments, had started the first way and ended up the second.
So anyway, the structure is phenomenal, I thought.
Laura, I know you had party thoughts as well. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, no, I definitely, like Toby said, I mean, we've all been to a party like this at some point. And
have we?
I have. Nobody got killed at the party I was at. But I mean, like, I think like there's Halloween parties, especially when you were in your younger years, they could always be adventurous. I mean, I had one at our sorority house where I was dressed up in this duck suit that I had. So I sort of became like this infamous character, the duck. And the children were coming to visit us to trick or treat. And I thought I'll make it really spooky. And we had this like halogen lamp. And so I put a scarf over it, and you know how that ended. And the fire department came, and they said...
And that's how I met your mother.
That's your target market, the fire department.
Yeah, they said, who set the fire? And they said, the girl in the duck suit. And anyway, so I could really relate to this in a way, like that sort of period in life when you did, like Toby said, have these things where you're like, all these sort of rando people show up, and you're like, oh my God, who is that person that showed up in a duck suit? Or who was that person who did this? And I think... setting that up from the start, it's like not necessarily a whodunit, because who the heck knows? It was more of like this botched investigation story and how that played out. But setting it up the way they did with all these characters that came to this party, I think sort of started us on that story in such a way that we knew we weren't really going to, I didn't think I was going to know who done it.
Yeah, well, the party episode is really enthralling because just like in a murder mystery, like an Agatha Christie or a black and white Charlie Chan movie, you have this setting where everybody's there and you know, as a member of the audience, that you are going to be given things that are important, going to be important later on, so you are sizing up everything. Right? You hear all the people who are there, and you're kind of like trying to drink everything in because something about is it this fight? Is it the beer? Is it what is going to be important down the road? And I got to say, this is the closest thing to a game of Clue that we have heard because it's the construction worker killed Little Red Riding Hood in the bathroom or the bed. It's crazy like that.
You know what it is?
What?
It's only murders in the building.
It's only murders.
No, this
murders
is
in that
all I can think about. The theme song.
From Campside Media and Wondery, I'm Matthew Shaer, and this is Suspect.
Has like this sort of evocative. Yes, I know it sounds a little bit serial-esque, but it actually has a very evocative, like, mystery. And I know that this was made like way before Only the Murders in the Building was released. I know it, but it even has like a little bit of a concertina feel. But literally. And I'm not making light of this crime. I'm not. And by the way, Matt Shaer is not making light of this crime. But this is a fucking great example of something that I have talked about so many times lately on this podcast, of a serious, important story where you can hear the joy in the making of it, right? This is somebody who clearly likes being a reporter and enjoyed putting the story together and understands how to put it together in a way that the audience will take it in. And it's very... It
makes us enthusiastic without him being thirsty about it.
Okay, here's a story where the victim lived in the building, the perpetrator was at a party, and one of the witnesses was there, and the killer was also there. It is literally Only Murders in the Building, right? It's the same setup.
I don't think you know what the word literally means, but I'll let it go.
It's the same setup, right? But what I was talking about earlier was that the structure, literally the first episode and the first two episodes, Cameron is laid out for us as the killer. We are given on a plate, Cameron is the killer. Emmanuel is a side story that is like quickly flash in the pan.
Until it isn't.
He was there.
Yeah.
I will say, and I am an astute observer of all details in every podcast. Emmanuel is like, oh, he was there, he left. In my mind, I was like, oh, that's probably important. This story is so well told, I literally forgot about him, or almost forgot about him. Holy shit. Like I said to you, Kevin, wow, it's really weird that they're like giving us so much about this guy who probably did it. Like he's the guy. And you were like, just wait. I'm like, I forgot about Emmanuel. Laura, is that not a sign of a well-structured story that they could tell us about somebody who's so important and that as a listener, we could forget?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's very hard to do. I mean, this is something I've been working a lot on lately with like mystery writing. Like, okay, you don't want your suspect to be too obvious, but you want them to be there. So when they come out, everyone's like, oh. But I have to say, the Cameron thing, back to him, it was a good thing I was like walking in the woods by myself when we got to the part about how they just like gave him his BlackBerry back and like all this, like didn't even search it. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, why? I'm like, oh, I looked around, I'm like, oh, no one else is here. Because he was set up as the killer, but he was set up as the killer in a way that was so much more plausible than Emmanuel. I just felt like Cameron, hello, he like fled to Canada. Oh, I just wanted to go for a drive to Canada. Yeah, okay. So when we then hear about blunder after blunder with how the investigation is handled from that point on, it was some rage-walking material right there.
Toby, one of the things that Matt Shaer, the reporter, says at the beginning of the podcast, which I honestly thought was probably an overstatement, but turns out that it isn't, is that this is a rare story a reporter wants to tell, where it happened a long time ago, but everyone wants to talk about it. And you think, like, that can't possibly be true, right? Everyone wants to talk about it. He has all of the neighbors. He has the cops. He even has Neil, the dick at the party. He has the other neighbor who has like a murder board in his house. He has Emmanuel. He has literally everyone. Well, you're saying, Kevin, I don't know what literally
You're
means.
right, yeah.
But he does seem to have everyone.
He has all the important players.
He has the person,
and they all wanted to talk.
He has the person who found the body, who avoided Arpana's dad's phone call, which, by the way, was a heartbreaking scene. What did you think, by the way, of just the access that Matt has and the fact that everybody seems to want to talk about this case?
Does he talk to Cameron?
I don't think we've heard any contemporary tape of Cameron through episode 5 yet.
Yeah, they've got good tape of him talking to cops. It's not too surprising that people want to talk about it, I would imagine, especially with, I guess we can spoil, but the fact that, you know, the person who got arrested for it didn't do it, I think, again, kind of makes you, if you're around that, want to talk more. But yeah, I you know, again, like, I think the groundwork that's been done in getting all these interviews and then getting archival footage, like the phone call from the father, is just absolutely heartbreaking. There's a lot of good police questioning audio that they've got. I'm sure we'll talk about the audio that hits at the end of episode 5.
Oh my God.
Again, I mean, in some ways, it's like, my God, like, how did they get this? How does this even exist to like shed light for us on this podcast? I think it's a good story. And I think it was interesting when the cops, there's just so many sort of evocative details about how the cops are getting these pictures. And at first, before they know people's names, they're like, oh yeah, you know, the vampire and the fireman and the construction worker. And that's how they're identifying these different people who are potentially suspects.
People, right?
Right, exactly. Before they can put names to them.
Find me, Count Chocula.
So, yeah. And the way they play that is just like sort of perfectly done, where they play it for a minute, but they don't beat it to death or whatever. It's like a cool kind of interesting fact at one point, and then they kind of move on. I mean, it's just like praise after praise, I guess, which doesn't make for a very interesting comment, but it's just really well done.
It's really hard because there are so many details that, and I will admit, this is, well, I'm just going to ask you a question, Kevin, because I'm going to say something that I feel and then phrase it to you as a question. You're not giving me notes on it, so I'm going to ask you to respond. We have not listened to a true, legit, great true crime podcast that wasn't actually something else wrapped as a true crime podcast in a long time, right?
Right.
We've listened to a lot of great podcasts framed as a true crime podcast that were about other things, like Through the Cracks.
Well, wait a minute. Are you going to say this isn't? This is just a whodunit? A great
This is
whodunit?
a true crime podcast.
It is.
Yeah, there's procedural stuff. There's evidentiary stuff. There's stuff about forensics.
I'm not going to disagree with you that this is not a great true crime podcast. To say that there isn't another level here,
Yes.
remember, the word suspect is a noun, but it's also an adjective.
Yes.
And I think that that's what it's going at.
It's about an investigation.
We are going to get, we've only heard the first 5. We're going to get to the science.
Yes.
And I think that's...
forensics. There's a murder at the center of it. This is a murder podcast.
But it is, yes.
Yes, right? I would say this is a true crime podcast.
Are you asking me a question, or are you just...
I'm just saying.
Right? Did anyone hear a question in that, or Rebecca just talking?
Kevin.
Yeah.
Isn't there a difference between... So a lot of people use the true crime podcast format to tell other kinds of stories, and there's nothing fucking wrong with that. I am not complaining.
Yeah.
Connie Walker, for instance, uses the true crime podcast format to tell socially important stories about missing Indigenous people through the true crime podcast format. Jonquilyn Hill used the true crime podcast format to tell stories about social issues and urban DC. This is a murder story, right? When is the last time we heard a great story told this well that is a murder story in a pure true crime podcast format? Can you remember?
Yeah, it's not coming to me right now. But, you know, that's what makes or breaks any true crime podcast is the source material.
Yeah.
Right? Is this an interesting enough event, an interesting enough crime? Is it compelling enough that it can hold up, you know, the weight of 2 or 4 or 10 episodes, right? And this is because it is the most whodunit-ish whodunit that we have had in a really long time. You have a room full of suspects.
Yeah.
You quite literally have a room full of suspects. And then how it's told beyond that, it just, like you said, it gets revealed bit by bit.
It's
in
like an
very
onion.
well told way, like an onion, just like an onion. So the answer to your question is yes, Rebecca, it's a great true crime podcast.
Well, I would say this is the thing, Toby, though, and this is the thing I've been thinking about you a lot about listening to this, is that the thing we think about a lot on this show is a lot of podcasts, like one of the bars to us liking them is they need to shine a light on something, right? And I know there is an evidentiary thing, a science thing here, like a jurisprudence thing here that this will shine a light on, right? We know that because this guy wrote this great article about touch DNA. So we know that this is coming. That being said, the narrative structure of this for me is enough for it to be very, very, very good. And that is, to me, rare. I don't know if you feel the same way, but that's how I am feeling at this point, even through episode 5.
Yeah, I guess, it's not an exact comparison, but it's sort of a podcast equivalent of In Cold Blood, in that I think it just works so well as what it is, in a way that others have tried and not quite succeeded at that level. But I think I wrote in a note to you that if I was going to be teaching like a class and like how to put together a really good podcast, like right now, I think I would use this. I mean, partly because, the crime is interesting and there's a whole lot of interesting things about it or whatever. They've got great tape or whatever, but you could still make a crappy podcast about this case, right?
So easily.
And I think, and I think we've certainly listened to podcasts that had more interesting cases that haven't been nearly as good as this. And I think it's just, it's craft, I think they figured out the best way to tell it. And that to me would make it stand out. And like you said, I'm sure there's going to be some stuff about the technology and things like that. But, I think the recommendation for this is just a really well made, well told story that, it's just a top example of the kind of thing that we listen to every week.
Laura, do you feel like there's tension between the two suspects that have been laid out for us? We've got Cameron, who is sus in many ways. Obviously, his DNA showed up on the oil can. He drove to Canada for no fucking reason. He has the phone calls to Arpana at 3 a.m.
He doesn't remember.
Quote, forgot. And he claims he heard the noises of her having sex / choking /
having sex thing just didn't make sense.
Whatever was going on, and he had the very, very suspect interviews. And then we have Emmanuel, who's...
Don't forget, he also can't remember if he kicked in the door.
Correct.
Couldn't remember.
And then then we have Emmanuel, who, by the way, his memory is immaculate. He's able to look at every photo from the party, identify everyone. One of the things that really strikes me about him, take the DNA stuff out of it, and he's so guileless. His memory is so pure. He's honest about all the stuff that even makes him look bad. And he's like, oh, that's Arpana. That's this. Oh yeah, I was there. I was helping her put her, sex worker stuff on Craigslist. Yeah, that's why I was there. That's
lady. Yeah, that was bizarro.
So when you weigh these two, do you think it's interesting that we have two people who are so clearly in the frame? It makes it more for a compelling story, right?
Well, it does. And I think, having two people in the frame and then having Emmanuel in the frame and sort of looking at this as perhaps maybe not necessarily I know we were talking about it being a whodunit, but more like a study of a botched investigation and looking at racial and economic factors that might have played a role in how this all played out, especially when this crapshoot DNA thing comes into the picture. I think it's really kind of a study in how an investigation can just go wrong based on certain stereotypes. And in this case, science that we now know isn't necessarily the big be all that we thought it might be at one point. But I did feel I guess for me, I felt the tension because I felt so strongly that Cameron seemed really guilty. Everything he said to me, I'm like the whole well, why would it sound like she was choking when she was having sex? Really? And there was just some weird things he said that didn't add up. But then when you hear that jail tape of Emmanuel talking about how he's basically been railroaded and needs an attorney. Like the contrast between those two suspects to me was like night and day.
I need to get a lawyer or something, man.
You do. You're going to have to, so I don't know. You need a fucking lawyer.
That end of episode 5 was an extraordinary piece of audio, and I've never heard a podcast use tape from a subject used for the next up on. You know, they just use Emmanuel's jail phone call and say, next up.
You mean natural
suspect.
sound tape?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just like, I've been railroaded. Next up on suspect.
And I need to get a good one because these motherfuckers is going to try to railroad a motherfucker, man.
That's on the next episode of Suspect.
They don't want you out. Ever.
I thought that was just such a beautifully constructed cliffhanger. I've never heard anything like it before. Toby, you sent me a note about that as well.
Yeah, it's kind of a stopper, you know. I was driving and it's just like, oh my God. Like you're not expecting it. It packs a punch. And then you're like, wait, what day does this come out? The next episode?
I mean, listen, I have recommended this podcast.
Sign me up for Wondery Plus immediately.
I recommended this podcast to so many people. I have gotten 4 people who hate Wondery to sign up for Wondery Plus. I have once again signed up for the free trial of Amazon Music.
Oh,
it's been a whole thing. Kevin, what did you think of just the end of episode 5? Did you like it as much as I did with the jail sound sort of like cliffhanger situation?
No, I hated it because I wanted to listen to episode 6. I was mad. The actual fuck, Matt. Don't do me like that.
Where are you on the Cameron Emmanuel thing? I'm curious.
Well, I mean, I can't say who I think the killer is, but I would say if I were a cop, I'd keep my eye on Cameron.
You mean if you were a cop in 2008 or if you were a cop right now?
Both.
Because we have you Googled? Because I haven't. I
had to Google because of spelling and whatnot, so now I know, yeah.
I had to Google and I was like, okay, my feelings were correct.
I have stayed very far away from the Google on this. I cannot. I have been pure. I cannot.
That's something for you. You do not, you will immediately.
Very rare for me. Very, very rare. I want to stay pure and I want to stay like arm's length from this.
Getting enough protein in the morning isn't easy. You want something that fits your routine and tastes good. That's where Silk Protein comes in. It's a new plant-based protein milk with 13 grams of complete plant protein, plus 3 grams of fiber and 50% less sugar than dairy milk. Pour a glass, blend it into a smoothie, or add it to your coffee for the road. Silk Protein helps provide the nutrients you want more of with a great taste. Shop now for Silk Protein at a store near you.
So, Kevin, who's the next sponsor for this fine podcast?
Oh, our sponsor is Quince.
Kevin, I'm wearing a Quince dress right now.
I know. Hold on, Nana. Don't get ahead of ourselves. The best summer pieces are the ones you end up wearing on repeat. Comfortable, versatile, and somehow right for almost every occasion. And Quince makes it easy to create a summer wardrobe that you'll love with things like, what is this?
Incredible linen wrap dress. I wear this dress all the time. This button-down, camp dress. I love it.
They've got such amazing European linen products. The shirts that I have. It's great for the summertime.
Pants I just ordered.
Very comfortable, yet elevated. Wait. I mean, elevated. But we don't know. Hold on. You just ordered more stuff from Quince?
Did you see the package upstairs? It's a pair of pants.
Oh, that's...
I was European linen pants. I had to try them because they're a new style.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. At this point, though, Quince, please, you must name a whole clothing line after Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has single-handedly kept several people employed.
Yes.
I think. There at Quince.
So make your summer wardrobe feel easier. Go to quince.com/crime. For free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too.
Bonjour, hi.
That's QUINCE.com/crime. For free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/crime.
Okay, imagine this. A honeybee is out here doing her thing in an orchard, lands on a mystery apple blossom, then carries that pollen over to a Honeycrisp tree. Fast forward a few months, and no exaggeration, something amazing is born. the Sugar Bee apple. Packed with notes of honey, caramel, and molasses, plus an extra crisp crunch, Sugar Bee apples are perfect for snacking, baking, and everything in between. Download our new free recipe book and find a store near you at hellosugarbee.com. Sugar Bee apples, naturally sweet, from bee to you.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
All right, I think we should do what we do. Let's let our listeners know, if we haven't yet, should they check out the podcast Suspect?
What do you think we're going to say? From
Campside Media. I want to say from Wondery too, but I really think it's from Campside. I think Wondery is a distribution partner. Should they check out the new podcast Suspect? Laura Bricker, what do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs up for Suspect?
I'm going to tell you, it is a huge thumbs up. And unlike you guys, I do have the Amazon Music because the teenager in my house signed us up and I just never canceled. So I will say that my normal 2.5 mile walk this week was going to about 4 miles because I wanted to keep listening, which is a good thing. So thank you, Wondery. This was just a really interesting case. It was told in such a way that details were released at just the right time to keep you listening. And it's also a case that I think as we continue listening, we're going to see, has some bigger picture issues with regard to criminal justice and investigations. But right now it's just a really good story.
Toby Ball.
Yeah, I so far, so great, I think. I mean, it's just really put together well. It's hard for me to picture what I would do differently with what they've done so far. You're always a little bit nervous, throwing praise like this, and are they going to be able to land the plane? But their decision making up until this point has been so spot on that I assume that they've got it figured out. So yeah, a big thumbs up. And, hopefully if it continues in this vein, it'll be another one that kind of goes on the short list of recommendations for people when they're like, what should I listen to if I want to get into true crime podcasts?
Kevin Flynn.
Yeah, I'm a big thumbs up. By the way, if you have Prime, you may already have one of the levels of Amazon Music. There's some higher levels where you get more songs and whatnot. But if you have Prime, check. You might have it already, and so you can get the. You don't have to
get the free trial for 30 days, like I keep doing over and over again.
Eventually you don't want to double pay for it. And look, in any event, thumbs up. I just thought that this was put together extremely well. I did not want these episodes to end. It's a really interesting crime. It couldn't have been told any better with the raw material it was given. And I do know the direction the case goes in from here, and I'm excited to listen to how they wrap it all up.
All right. So I'm going to do an unprecedented thing I've never done on the podcast before.
Thumb sideways?
I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up.
Okay.
Only because I am looking at our past reviews from... I'm scrolling through the Crime Writers On back catalog right now in my podcast app. I cannot find even the last podcast that we did that was a pure true crime, straight up murder podcast that didn't have another agenda that it was also trying to do, right? And it really, at least in the last year or two, that was great. We've done other murder podcasts, but not one that was great. This podcast is great. This podcast is in terms of narrative storytelling, it's serial great. It is great. It is structurally great. It is narrative great. It is production great. It is so freaking good. It is addictive. It is giving you all of the case information. It is giving you just enough of the contextual information. Like it's doing all of the right things in terms of giving you the background about how a person of color is different than a white suspect in an efficient way without like making a left turn and making about the podcast about something that it isn't about. Like it's doing everything exactly right. The music is used right. The sources are used right. It is just freaking impeccable and addictive, and I love it. 2 huge thumbs up for Suspect for me. I can't say enough good things about this podcast. I recommend it to about 150 people in the last few days. Granted, I listened through episode 5. I have a few more episodes to go. If I am disappointed in the next few, I will say it on next week's podcast. I seriously doubt that's going to happen based on what I've heard so far. I love everything about this podcast so far. 2 huge thumbs up for me.
Okay, Rebecca, is this still one of your favorite podcasts of all time?
Kevin, I'm very comfortable saying that season 1 of Suspect is my favorite serialized true crime podcast of all time.
Wow, that's saying something.
I know. I love it. I love it so much. It's a Campside Media classic. It's what introduced me to Matthew Shaer and his reporting. He's an incredible reporter. I would really suggest folks listen back to the podcast if they haven't listened in a while or if they've never listened. You know, one of the things I'll tell you is that episode 1 of this season of Suspect, one of the greatest single episodes of a true crime podcast of all time. And there's great reason for that because it gives you pretty much every clue you need for the rest of the show. So it's great.
Yeah, and I'll agree. And as we kind of discussed here, Campside Media really kind of came into its own in this era after some podcasts that we thought were, okay. Their partnership with Wondery on this project was really great.
I loved it so much. All right, well, this show was recorded in Studio C, the closet, in our New Hampshire basement, where we also make a fast break to Canada for no suspicious reasons whatsoever. On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you later.
Partners in Crime Media.
Looking to scale your outcomes beyond search and social? Realize is Taboola's AI-powered performance platform, driving incremental growth by engaging high-intent users across a global network of 600 million daily active users on premium websites. Reach and convert your audience on premium websites and placements where your customers actually spend their time. For more information and to create your account today, go to realize.com/podcast.